Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Work Personalities, Who to Trust and Who Not to. Work personalities, who to trust and who not to. I can tell you that having been in all sorts of workplace settings over the course of my years, one particular thing that I've noticed with some of the folks who have been in positions 10 plus years is that they have spent a lot of time strategically placing themselves in positions and doing a number of things to make sure that they are relevant, that they are key people, that they are the go-to folks in a crisis. Some of them have their way of aligning themselves in groups, if you will. And these groups are their buddies, folks who they connect with outside of the workplace. These are also people who they work on projects with, folks who they have a lot of similar interests. And when you have a team of people behind you and you are also being of service to them, making their jobs easier, stepping up to the plate when they're going on vacation and they're sickly and so forth, they are not going to speak. They're not going to speak negatively about you because, well, you're needed. And then these people also find tools that go above and beyond their positions to keep them performing well, standing out among the group. And these tools they may not share with other people, but they find ways to do things. And it's almost like grandma's secret recipe, if you will. We know that her food is really good, but nobody really knows what she puts in it. You see what I mean? So they're standing out among the crowd, and they're also strategically finding friends who they have similar interests and going above and beyond, not just within the workplace, but outside of it too. Okay? Team camaraderie is everywhere with some of these folks, and they have 10 plus years with the company. And then you have others who they work very closely with leadership. And they know this one and they know that one, and they are networking at different events, and they are making sure that leadership is aware of other things that they're capable of doing outside of the workplace, so that if anything should happen in the future, well, I know someone who does this and I know someone who does that, and before long, someone has a job elsewhere, right? So you got these individuals who know how to stay in positions for a long period of time, but there's the other side that no one really wants to talk about. The other side where I got to protect my position because you came in and now you found some of my flaws, some of my faults, and so now I've got to kill or be killed. That's the other side of all of this nicety, and she works so well with this group, and oh, she outperforms everyone and all that. The other side is that there is the protection that takes place. The group may align themselves to protect their favorite person against someone who is speaking out against the foolishness that's going on. There could be some fudging of numbers. There could be some lying for their buddies. Okay. There could be some stealing and so forth. And when that outsider comes in and starts pointing out some things, we got to protect our favorite. Or how about that one who's been using tools and some of them were not approved by the company? And that outsider comes in and notices some things and starts telling. I got to figure out a way to nitpick. I got to figure out a way to find all sorts of fault with this person. Yes. Because you can't expose me. You see, I got 10 plus years with this company. Workplace personalities. Some individuals can get along with just about anyone, and others not so much, especially if they know they're a target for some of their deceitful practices. And some people have the nerve to call themselves believers, right? If you're a believer in Christ, don't you have certain principles that you follow in that holy Bible, right? Don't you believe in the commandments? Don't you want to do what is right? Isn't Christians supposed to behave righteously? Well, we got some individuals that they talk out of two sides of their mouth. On Sunday, they're a Christian, or on Saturday, they're a Christian, or Wednesday night Bible study, they're a Christian. But any other time of the week, they are just as worldly, carnally minded as anybody else. And so when the whistleblower shows up, when the person who has more experience shows up, when that one who is fighting for a place in the company shows up and wants to offer his or her input, that one who feels threatened has to come up with all sorts of schemes, all sorts of plans, all sorts of conversation with individuals who are in hiring and firing positions to kind of gradually move that person out. But there's got to be the frustration that takes place, right? There's got to be a pushback. There's got to be something that makes that person stop coming after that one who is not doing such a good job after all. Workplace personalities. You have the busy beaver, the one who is just sitting in front of his or her computer, taking care of their work, right? His or her work, and they are not thinking too much about everyone else. But the numbers look good, and we're not going to disturb that person. Then we've got the one that wants to work overtime, show up early, leave late. And sometimes people don't have a clue what's really going on with all the working. If it's the motivation at home with all of the, from at home with all of the work responsibilities that need to be tended to, the money issues, the demand from corporate. Sometimes it's just being a workaholic that makes people do what they do. But as long as things are getting done, nobody's really asking questions. Then you have those individuals who they're the gossips. And sometimes the gossips like to accuse other people of being gossips. They're the ones that they know everything that's going on. But unfortunately, their facts aren't really facts. They're just rumors. But then there are those who they're not the gossips, but they are the busybodies. They're always busy looking at what everybody else is doing. But how's their work performance? And then you have some people who they're just simply knowledgeable. They're knowledgeable about a lot of things. They're not gossips and they're not busybodies. They just know system. They sit back, they analyze, they watch how people do things, they study, and then they go and they say, well, here, I got some information. The reason why this is happening is because, well, look at what they're doing in between breaks. Okay. Well, I got some information on this. I noticed that you guys are doing A, B, and C when you really should be doing, D, E, and F, okay? And sometimes these knowledgeable folks are misunderstood as being gossips and busybodies because the gossips and busybodies are used to their own. And then they can't see anything past their own type. So they kind of lump everybody in the category of one or the other, or both. People who are good managers, they're going to know who is friend and who is foe. And people who are good managers know who to make friends, and they also know how easily they can make foes too. If you're a critical strict, frigid type of manager, you're not going to make friends with people. You're going to anger them over time very quickly. If you are not a compassionate person, if you are quick to assume things about people, once again, you're not going to get the information that you need to even help you complete your work responsibilities and possibly get some new ideas and so forth, because people are watching people, people are studying people, people are listening to people. And if you are an ineffective type of manager, you don't jump on anything. Somebody tells you something and you don't handle too much. Well, it isn't any wonder why people don't go to you. How come she didn't come to me first? How come he didn't, talk to me? Because you're ineffective. You don't take care of business. Okay. And people get tired of having to follow up and follow up and follow up. Okay. So we've got all sorts of different personalities in a workplace, and some of them, unfortunately, are bringing the organization down, and the monies are not coming in, and the reputation of the business is not as stellar as it once was. And then you have, of course, where there's no money coming in, there's also things being cut, and folks aren't able to get their needs met. And how long am I supposed to write with this pen that isn't working so well before I can get a quality pen? Oh, that's right, the budget this and the budget that, you see. And when people are held over the fire, if you will, because they're not doing their job, whether they're a worker or a manager, a business owner, what have you, if they're not doing their job, those that are fearful, worried, stressed, they're going to start pointing fingers rather than holding themselves accountable to not doing all of what they could have been doing. You see, one thing that I like about walking with the Lord, and I know some people right away, when you say God, Jesus, Lord, it turns them off. But if you got an ear to hear, this is the time that you need to listen. One thing that I know about the Lord is that he is, number one, not going to put any more burdens on us than we can bear, but man or woman will. And when man or woman starts dumping their burdens upon people, that's when God starts moving his best out of organizations. I don't know if people are discerning enough to see that. Okay. But it does happen. And I think people tend to forget that there is a spiritual side to people, and that spiritual side that's connected to the Creator. The Creator is going to set it up so that those people flee Pharaoh's rulership. Or sometimes the people will turn on Pharaoh and bring Pharaoh down. Pharaoh can buy all the donuts that he wants or she wants, okay, to feed the folk. But at the end of the day, folks are still going to say, should we keep Pharaoh or shouldn't we? Should we overthrow the king? Should we kick out the boss? Should we report the business owner to, the necessary authorities? What should we do? You see. And some folks, their motto is always feed the people, feed the people. Well, some people, they're on diets. And other people, well, they got all sorts of health ailments. So donuts is not going to work. Okay. A very hearty meal at the local restaurant is not going to work. They're sitting back and they're watching. They're watching the pigs at the trough. Please don't take offense to that, but sometimes that's what it looks like in some of these organizations. They're looking at the pigs at the trough, and meanwhile they're looking at what's going on behind the scenes. Why are they being so nice? Has anybody questioned this? Why is it that suddenly there's money for this but not money for that? Why is it that we're slowly but surely seeing people exit out of here? What's going on once they talk to that manager? Because you see, there's a lot of secrets that people have when it comes to workplace stuff. Some people, they already been through the fire and they're not about to go through the fire again with a new employer. So they tend to be mum about what they see, what they hear. And if you don't have a good relationship with your employees, okay, or you don't have a good relationship with your coworkers, it's going to be hard to find out what's really going on, especially if you're in a layoff season. The workaholic The workaholic is working so much, but at the same time, the workaholic might have his or her resume somewhere else because they caught wind that there's a layoff or somebody is about to be terminated. Okay, that they may really like working under and they're not about to deal with a new person. You know, sometimes you've got to pay attention to people who they were once a part of the clique and now they're gradually distancing themselves from the clique. Why are they doing that? Because maybe the clique is about to be broken up. And maybe that clique is going to have some folks lose some jobs. Maybe that clique is being investigated. Pay close attention, you know. Sometimes people, they're so busy doing their jobs that they don't see that there is a storm ahead. And if you're definitely not one about connecting with your Creator, you're not going to hear what God is saying that could help you weather the storm. Sometimes people wonder, how is it that that person is always able to just ride over every obstacle? They're able to withstand everything that hits this company. Well, what some people don't know is that there are people who have a strong faith. They'll never tell you that. And some of them are so connected with God that God just tells them right around the corner, there's another issue. Just want to let you know, there's another one ahead. Okay, save your money because this one is going to be major. I'll tell you that in one organization years back, while everybody else was trying to figure out this, that, and the other concerning all of these changes that were taking place, I had a dream and the Lord simply told me that there's going to be some people losing their jobs and you'll be one of them too. So you might as well start putting your resumes out. And I did. But I also warned some people, and at the time it was hard to believe because, you know, when people are going to their job every day, they're comfortable in their routine. It's very hard for them to see that there is trouble ahead when everything looks relatively calm. But I was that one that was sounding the alarm. And I'll tell you that lo and behold, if it didn't end up being that way, okay? And they were shocked. You see, having a relationship with God goes beyond a church. Having a relationship with God goes beyond a Bible. A personal relationship with the Lord is just what it is. And he's like a father. He's like a friend. He's like so many different human roles, yet he's not human. And when you know that something that is so great has the ability to see what is around the corner before you do, why wouldn't you spend daily time with him or her? Because some people look at God as a female. Okay. But in the Bible, he's often referred to as he. That's why we say he. But either way, though, why wouldn't you want to have that personal relationship with him? Why do you want to be blindsided? Why do you want to go into organizations and connect with people who are flawed and put your livelihood into folks who can pretty much sign you away at any given moment? Why wouldn't you want to align yourself around people who truly believe in the Lord and take him seriously and who fear him? Why would you want to connect yourself with folks who, at the end of the day, all of that camaraderie and happy-go-lucky types of stuff, it tends to fall away once people move on to other organizations. It doesn't stay as tight as it once was. So it makes sense to bring God spiritually in your atmosphere. You don't have to say anything about your faith. You don't even have to, read your Bible at work. I mean, that's why you have a home. You can read it there. You can read it in your car. But the point is that we're living in a tough time. And it's only going to get tougher because as man comes up with more and more ideas, and woman too, these ideas are going to stress some people out who are not ready to change, who are not ready to move, who are not ready to do anything different, who prefer routine. Okay, it's going to shake them up when they find that once again, I got to look for another job. And some of these companies, The time span that they want people is getting shorter and shorter. Have you noticed that in corporate America? They're not really looking at the permanent employees as much as they're looking at the temps. And then they may open up a door or two for a temp to have a permanent position. But for the most part, though, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year at a company, and then on to the next one. And so that's why you do get some of these people who got 10 plus years who come up with all of these little deceitful ways of getting people out, especially those that they feel are a threat to their position. That's why for some, it doesn't help you to tell people everything that you're able to do. You just tell them enough that relates to the position. If managers need to know what more you can do in your given role, then that's one thing. But telling your coworkers, and you know that you all are all competing for a future permanent position, that pretty much is going to cause some dissension over time. Because the more information somebody has on you, the more they can use against you too. They can formulate all sorts of stories. They can make all sorts of false assumptions. And sometimes they can say things like, well, she has so much experience. I mean, should she even be working for us? You see? So on one hand, they're complimenting you, but then on the other hand, they're talking about what you're not capable of doing, or what you're overqualified to do, and just putting little seeds of doubt in people's heads who are in hiring and firing positions. And God sees it all. So I'm encouraging some of you all who really, really look at your job as something very important, very, very much up there on the scale of job and God, right there in the top 10 spot. Okay. Know the workplace personalities around you. Sit back and study the organization, see what is happening. Go to your Heavenly Father for direction in terms of what you should be doing in your current role, what might be ahead, and also you may want to read the scriptures and apply what you learn to your position. There's a wealth of wisdom in the Bible, and I tell you that when it comes to workplace personalities, you'll be able to better deal with some people if you know what their personality is, if you know how to diagnose a personality like a psychologist diagnoses or comes up with a diagnosis for his or her patient. People don't think about the psychological side of things either when it comes to people in a workplace. And there are so many different personalities, and I have audio that talks about some of the personality disorders, because people sometimes they just dismiss folks as though she has a quirk, but there's more going on. Okay, so do check out those audios on personality disorders. I have a playlist that's devoted to leaders, and it's not just about those who are called to be Christian leaders in a church setting, but the playlist is for leaders in management, leaders who are in supervisory roles, leaders who are entrepreneurs, leaders of families, okay? Just all sorts of leaders. So definitely check out that playlist. Well, that is it. I thank you so much, as always, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to subscribe. Also, if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. And please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. And that is also where the donation link will be. Blessings to you.